You listening, Netflix?
Brent, would you ever dub what if it paid good? Real good.
I didn't realize how tough it would be to be auditioning for things that could change my life.
Do you feel like there's a pressure, I guess, from the audience to like step down in a certain situation?
If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, and you want to do anime, if you want to be in the world of voice acting, I highly suggest.
Today on the very first episode of Adulting in Anime, we are joined by Brent Mukai. And if the name doesn't sound familiar, then I bet the voice will. Brent is probably most known for being the voice of Gyokko from Demon Slayer.
How lovely it is to see you in such good health. What has it been, 90 years since I last saw your face?
And Scratchmen Apoo from One Piece.
The Golden Festival is here, and it's gonna be tight! I never skip out on a party or give up on a fight!
But he's also the voice of Dorsha from Ranking of Kings, Drake's Dream from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and the list goes on. I mean, just look at this man's IMDb page. This was such a fun episode to record. Brent is an incredible talent that offered interesting perspectives and gave valuable insights and advice throughout this episode, and we're super excited to share it with you. Thank you for being here, dude. I didn't want to start the show off on too crazy of a note, but I did have a question like right out of the gate that
Shoot.
Are you aware that you voiced my least favorite character of all in One Piece?
I You know what? I tuned into your like 20th anniversary special event stream and heard that live.
Oh, you were in the chat.
I was
forgot.
in the chat and I was like, that's hilarious.
I said that, your performance is great, but the character not so much.
I get it.
know?
No, yeah, nobody's going into One Piece going, Scratchmen Apoo is my favorite character.
with merch, with hats, with shirts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nobody anywhere has any Scratchmen Apoo merch, very rarely.
Dude, you have like an extensive resume in the anime and manga space. Like the characters that you play, I was kind of surprised, like in doing research and prepping for the episode, you voiced like so many characters in so many series. Frieren is one that I didn't know. That must have been pretty recent, right?
That was very recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I recorded that maybe about a month ago or so.
Your character, without giving anything away for people who haven't seen it, your character, I'll just say it, he's not around for very long.
Yeah, you noticed that too, huh? You also saw that.
yeah.
I was like, oh man, I'm in Frieren. That's awesome. And then I was like, oh, okay.
I'm not in
That
Frieren
was
anymore.
yeah, that was quick.
Yeah.
But
It
you
didn't-
take what you can.
It didn't go beyond Journey's End.
No.
Oh no, you
No,
reached
no.
your journey's end
Pretty
very
quickly.
I didn't even get to the journey start. That's that's about how quick it goes.
All right, so we're gonna get into our first segment of this show, childhood. We're gonna ask you some questions about what it was like to be an anime fan as a child. And the first question that I have to ask is, what was the anime that started it all for you, and how old were you?
Well, see, here's the thing. That's like for people our age, right? Like that is
Mine and your age. She's a youngster.
Yeah, I got.
Not that young. Let's
Okay.
calm down.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
Oh my God!
Right?
Where's your backpack?
It's actually underneath the table.
I know.
It's packed with snacks. I had to come prepared
yeah.
today.
Your mom put the sack lunch
yeah.
in there. No. I think. I would say for you, even though you're probably considered a generation below, like when we were coming up, nobody called it anime, right? It was just called Sailor Moon. It was just called Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z. Yeah.
Pokemon. Like there wasn't, like no one knocked on our door and said, do you know that you're watching anime?
Yeah.
It is.
I watched Pokemon for years before I ever found out that it was like classified as an anime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Like those were all in our ears. We were all talking about it, but I don't think anybody was like, what's your favorite anime? I don't, and I'm Japanese and I didn't even like, I was disconnected with that world. Right. But like, if we're going all the way back, I would say Sailor Moon was probably the first anime I ever watched.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, dang, this is cool. Oh man, these girls are like transforming and like turning into all this stuff. I was really, really young because I grew up in Hawaii, and in Hawaii,
That's right.
there's a channel called Kiku that was like, there's so many Japanese people that live in Hawaii that they, much like there's Telemundo, right?
I'm familiar with Telemundo.
Right. Yeah. That's our Telemundo,
Right.
but for Japanese people. So it would play like Kikaida. It would play like Sailor Moon, like in the morning times. It would play Dragon Ball Z before Dragon Ball Z became like a big hit. Pokemon was on Kiku before it was like a national phenomenon, and I had watched it, not on Kiku, but I'd bought, like, I'd seen clips of it, and I bought like a VHS tape of it from Toys R Us.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so incredible. And then like 2 months later, everyone was talking about it. And I was like, I was watching this 2 months ago. And people were like, shut up. No, you weren't.
Did you have a lot of friends who were into anime?
I'm not going to lie. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up,
Same.
period. Like,
Same.
I started around like 12, 13, like developing the social skills. But like looking back now and like watching, I mean, I've been saying this just to people, but it's like funny, like looking back now, I think that had I grown up now, I think I would have been diagnosed with autism, because I had always had the sensation that I didn't understand how to connect with people. I didn't know what, like, it seemed like everybody had like this innate ability to just like talk with each other and become friends. I did not understand that. So it was around 12, 13 that I started really being like, okay, let me like focus up and like do something about this so that I don't just have no friends for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be completely honest, like I didn't know what anime was. I was mostly like, oh, okay, these are cool shows. I wasn't super Dragon Ball Z either. Like for some weird, you know how, I mean, pre-internet, right? Like if something wasn't on at the right time of day when you could get home from school, you just missed the boat.
Yeah.
So I was always in these after school programs, and the scheduling for everyone else in the mainland, I'm sure like Dragon Ball Z was playing like 5 p.m. or whatever. But because we're 3 hours behind, it was playing at like 2 p.m. So if I didn't get home from, if I was in the after school program, so I missed it all the time, and everyone would be like, oh, Dragon Ball Z. Anyways, that's not the question you asked. I only really got into anime around like high school year. My friend Joe Pexon, shout out Joe, shout out Jay Pex.
I know he's watching.
I know.
He's watching right now. He's a huge fan. He introduced me to Naruto, and I was watching it on YouTube. That's like,
That's it.
that's the
the
era.
one.
That's the era. We were probably watching it at the same time.
Yeah.
Where they split it up into three parts.
And
each
then,
episode.
and then if the person didn't upload it, you just didn't watch it. It was just gone. You're like, maybe I'll tune in maybe in a couple months when they upload it.
Yeah, maybe.
That's
if they
crazy to
do.
me. I never had to resort to like YouTube. I was, at the time, I only say this because there was literally no other way to watch it.
Yeah.
So I was doing the LimeWire Bear Share,
Okay.
the
trenches.
I was in the trenches. Let's just say.
YouTube was a different
now
type of
you can
trench.
officially
Wow.
I know.
support
back.
anime and manga, but
Yes.
then like there were so many things that you just could not see unless you went online and found ways to see them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then accidentally download like a porn that is titled Naruto. Yeah, you've seen them. You know.
Bro,
We come from the same
I
era,
know,
brother.
it's so specific.
it's so specific, but I had the same thing happen to me. I would actually purposely do it sometimes. I mean, you had to do what you had to do. I thought I was clever. I thought I was light Yagami.
Yeah, that's our version of like people from 1980s being like, I used to have to dig up a Playboy
in the woods.
I had to borrow it from the library and dress up in a mustache
Yeah.
with two of my friends in a trench coat.
All right, I have a couple more childhood questions.
Okay. Shoot.
The hard-hitting
have-
ones.
Now it's the
Now it's
hard
hard-hitting.
mode.
Now
Yeah.
this was
it's-
just a warm up.
Now it's traumatic. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
When did your parents divorce? 11. Anyways, please go on.
I was 3.
Oh, you were 3? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Beat ya.
Yeah, I win. Who was, if any, your childhood husbando or waifu?
I mean, Sailor Jupiter.
Okay.
Okay.
Sailor Jupiter was always like, yeah. I don't know why her specifically. I think
I don't remember them all by name, but
she's the green. She's
Okay.
the green one that does the
Green.
thunder. I always felt like Mars was too aggressive,
Right.
and Sailor Moon was just always yelling all the time. So Sailor Jupiter just kind of had the vibe I was looking for.
okay, I
Yeah.
like that.
She
answer.
wasn't a nerd like Mercury.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm calling out all you Mercury stands. It's on. Fight me. Jupiter's the best.
Was there a performance or a character that you saw as a kid that made you really want to become a voice actor?
Old Dragon Ball Z. Some of the earliest I can remember is imitating like Dragon Ball Z. I wasn't super in it, like how a lot of people are like, that's like the one.
Right.
But I watched a fair amount when I could, just because, back in the day you had to watch what everyone else was watching. Otherwise you're not a cool kid. And I would try to do like the Piccolo and the Vegeta, I would like create scenarios in my brain and like try to reenact them and do the voices and stuff. So that's probably about as early as it was. I also would like try to do the I don't remember even he was from like the second season of Sailor Moon. He was the bad guy, and there was like a femboy, like very like let me play my flute, and he would play the flute it was a girl. It was like brother sister combo.
Yeah.
Wow, let me play my flute.
I don't know if you're
very
wrong.
menacing.
I'll just say this. I really do. Yeah, I know. You were
Scary
watching
villain.
Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
As a kid, the dubs from my childhood, like they were taking chances. They were taking risks. They
Yeah.
were like really doing things that were kind of out there, but also like so memorable.
Well, we
dude.
talk about 4 Kids all the time.
Yeah.
4 Kids, One Piece.
Out there in what way? What do you mean out there?
4 Kids One Piece is a great example
Yeah.
because I love 4 Kids Sanji. I don't know if you ever heard 4 Kids, the old original dub.
I was never on that train. I never got to.
Oh,
I never
man.
watched One Piece as a child. I didn't know what it was. Yeah.
I would see it because it would come on, right? And Sanji's VA for the original 4 Kids dub sounded something like this. I'm gonna give you my best impression.
Please.
Hey, Nami, get over here. What are you doing, boss head? We're getting on the Merry and sailing the Grand Line.
So he was just Joey Wheeler, is what you're telling me. Was that the same voice actor?
Well,
as
Joey Wheeler's another good example, dude. Like,
But he's iconic though.
Oh,
and Sanji is iconic to me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, VA, I think, has gotten, like, the VA and dubbing industry has gotten so much better because you have, like, a consistent quality now. But some of the swings that the VAs were taking back in the day were, like, pretty crazy and memorable.
Yeah,
they've
like
stuck with me.
iconic.
That
I really.
Australian Charmander guy.
Yes.
It's Charmander.
Yeah,
Charmander.
dude. Yeah.
Charmander is mine. I'm the one who caught it, remember?
I just feel like maybe, and I'm sure I'm wrong, but that like you don't feel like you can take as many of those swings now, or maybe that's not true. I don't know.
No, a lot of places are like, don't do any accents.
Well, yeah.
For a long time, that was the case. Now people are starting to actually like, okay, cool. If it's, for example, Prince of Tennis, right? They go to Australia. So we have a bunch of Australian accents. And then they play the Greek team.
Yeah.
And then all these guys have Greek accents. So that hasn't been a thing like very intentionally for years and years.
Right.
And now it's like just kind of coming back into the mix where people are starting. I don't know at which part of the chain of command that kind of came down, but I think maybe to your point, they took too many big swings and then
That's fair. That's fair.
they were like, what's this Australian guy doing in Pokemon? That wasn't our vision.
Yeah, right. All right, we're going to get into our second segment, which is adulting in anime. But before we get into it, we have to do a costume change.
Okay. Should I close my eyes and not watch?
You can
Oh, that would
close
be
your eyes.
cool.
If Josh, by the way, is like right now transforming into Sailor Jupiter, and that's like the
Don't get too excited.
that would be
Don't
crazy.
get too
Oh no,
excited.
not until I open my eyes. Okay. Wow.
Yes.
So official, so businesslike.
Yes. This
Wow.
is the adult portion.
Yeah.
Goodness. No,
We
don't
even-
cut to me. Cut to that posture. It's quite. It was. Yeah.
We even
Something
brought
about-
the water cooler
Yes.
out. This is an important segment of the show.
There's no water in it.
No,
but-
there's no water.
No, I
But
love it.
And so we're just a couple coworkers right now.
yeah.
You know, shooting the shit
Yeah.
around the water
Mhm.
cooler.
Mhm.
You know,
Did
and
you hear about Jennifer, by the way? I heard that she's getting a divorce.
Oh,
Her kid's 11. It's gonna be brutal.
well, honestly, Jennifer deserves better.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
She
She
really
does.
does. We all agree.
we talked about briefly at a lovely dinner we had gone to about comedy,
Oh
Uh-huh.
yeah,
about your background in comedy.
Yeah.
How does that inform your performances? How does like your stage presence and being comfortable on stage and making a crowd of strangers laugh inform what you do?
and you still do comedy?
No, I
Me
mean,
neither.
I love doing improv. And when I first moved here about a year and a half ago, I was hitting like the improv stuff pretty
Yeah.
hard because it was like, man, I'm in the place.
Mhm.
But it's gotten progressively harder to find the time.
Yeah.
Stand-up comedy, I think what it gives you is an air of like fearlessness. It just or bravery, I guess. Not fearlessness. There's still fear. You just push through and you know what to do with it. I think that stand-up gives you the confidence. I think that stand-up gives you a presence and it gives you the free ticket to not ask any questions and just do a thing.
Mm.
Improv, I think, though, is the most helpful for anybody who's looking to get into this. So if you are interested, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, and you want to do anime, if you want to be in the world of voice acting, I highly, highly, highly suggest signing up for an improv class, taking some improv classes, getting improv experience, because on the other side of the glass and everything, we don't get a script ahead of time. We're not like actors who get opportunities to do all this stuff. It's there on the same day that like we walk in. You don't know what character you're playing a lot of the time, unless it's like a recurring role. But a lot of the roles that you play are not recurring roles, especially beginning, right?
Right.
You're just coming in and you're like, you're that guy. Okay, now we're going to a new scene. Now you're that guy, right? Additional voices. And you need to have a sense of play. You need to have the confidence to bring whatever you're going to bring to whatever they need at that moment. And you need to be completely comfortable with not knowing what the hell's going to go on, and just delivering. So improv like changed my life in a lot of ways. I've been doing that since I was 19 years old. So like,
Wow.
it's just, yeah, it's such a part of me. I love it. And I preach it to anybody who's interested in getting into voice acting, because not just in anime, but especially in anime, you need to be able to think on your feet. You need to be able to do it. You're not coming up with words, but you got to come up with a voice. You got to come up with an attitude. You got to make all of these choices and do them extremely confidently and extremely quickly, because there's not a lot of time to also, like, you know, within the anime dubs.
Yeah.
It's got to move fast because we're all working on limited budgets. So if you're taking too long to accomplish something or
Right.
nail a line correctly, that could end up clogging up the machine, the well-oiled machine that then, you know, gets you not as hireable the next time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's the voice you get asked to do the most? Out of all
Gyokko,
the
for
voices?
sure.
Really?
Gyokko from Demon Slayer. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just the hot show right now. Like,
Yeah.
that's everybody, like, that's the only reason I'm able to go to the cons, because I've been
Not
in
for
some
Apoo, really?
Yeah, not so much. Like, I mean, as much as he's loved, especially by you, not a lot of
Yeah.
people.
I love him.
You know, if I was, say, Kaido, if I was, say, you know, any even semblance of the crew, then I think that might
Yeah.
be like a bigger deal, you know. But
Well, I just,
know,
I
it
mean,
is what it
Wano,
is.
I mean, he was a significant part of Wano.
yeah,
and-
but then
yeah.
that gets overshadowed by like how awesome Kaido is, you know,
Right.
how awesome Big Mom gets, like all of the new samurai. Like, to
Right.
me, I like Odin is like the crown pinnacle jewel of Odin, Kaido, and obviously Yamato.
Oh, yeah.
Like so yeah, my character comes back, and I don't get me wrong, I love playing Scratchmen Apoo. I love being a part of the One Piece franchise. I've loved One Piece since before I was a part of it as a cast member. But on the same note, I also know where I rank in the popularity polls. You know, like I'm.
I thought it was really cool too because I watched the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action adaptation.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool that the Cabbage Man from that series they cast the original voice actor,
James C.
Yeah, to be the
Oh.
Cabbage Man in the show. So it got me thinking, is there a character that you've ever voiced that if there was a live action made of it that you would like to play?
Scratchmen Apoo.
I would love that. Unironically, I would love that.
Yeah, I would love that too.
Genuinely, I think you would
Hey,
crush it.
you listening, Netflix? you listening? No,
I could see it. I would love that.
I keep joking that I want to be Wapple in the next. I think I could reasonably do that with my skill set. Like if they wanted anything close to what the anime brought, I feel like I could do that, but
I don't know how far we're gonna get in this live action adaptation. But if we got to Apoo
I know.
and you weren't at least called, oh
I'm
my
raising
God,
hell.
dude. Yeah,
I'm tipping over this water cooler.
give me those long arms, baby.
that piano mouth.
Yeah.
Has becoming a professional in the space changed your relationship while you do watch anime at all?
Yeah, I mean, my focus is a lot bigger, but a lot of times it's funny. I just try to keep it positive in my brain because I want to still be able to enjoy stuff. I think when you get overly critical, you stop being able to enjoy the thing that you love so much. So,
And I guess like not even in a critical sense necessarily, but like, do you hear? I mean, do you just like? Can you see the process?
Yeah.
And does that take you out of it ever?
in a way, like sometimes I'll hear like an edit of like, oh, that was edited for the breath or whatever, right? Like some certain things I'll notice, but I try not to dwell on stuff like that. Mostly what I'll do is I'll listen to it and I'll be like, damn, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So yes, I see more, but also I can appreciate tiny moments and little things even more so because of moments like that. Like Hermes from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like the screams in that are so crazy huge. They're guttural, and it's such a like it gives this emotion.
How often in that series, because you worked on that series too, Stone Ocean.
Yes.
How often are you, if ever, because I know COVID kind of might have changed things, are you in a room with other people voice acting?
That was never really a thing for anime.
Gotcha.
Except for the people in the background.
Gotcha.
So people where it's like, oh, yes, you're at a party and we just need 2 passes of this. So the 6 of you will sound like 50 people by the end of this, right?
Right.
That was really the only thing that was, because you're going through and you have to match timing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That is not really a part of the anime world, even less so the video game world, unless we're getting into like performance capture and stuff. That was mostly animation.
Gotcha.
Where, the timing is whatever we want it to be.
Yeah.
You have to match the mouth flaps, so it would be highly unpractical because you'd be sitting around waiting for the other people to do their thing.
That's a good point. That's
So,
a really good point.
Again, also why you need to be able to improvise well is because at any given point, you may be the first person on the project, so you're playing off against nobody. You're hearing the Japanese, what the Japanese did, but on the actual take, you gotta respond to whatever's going on as if you're responding to an actual human being, but they're not there.
Right.
So,
And so in most cases, if you're that first person, you don't have even anybody, obviously not in person, but in your headphones or in the audio to play off of.
Nope. I mean, you do get the imagination of what the Japanese actor did, and you get the preview of that, but beyond that, you gotta play it like you're actually having a human conversation, even if it's not necessarily a human conversation.
Yeah, that's
because to my very amateur ears, I feel like sometimes the person who comes in will base a lot of their performance on the dub, but sometimes they go a completely different direction, which I obviously think is incredible, especially if it makes sense for the character. What is that like for you? Do you listen to the original Japanese VA, and does that influence or inform? Do you really try to stick as close to it as you possibly can, or do you say, here's the spirit of it, let me just kind of?
That's where I start, is the
Right.
voice. Like I want to do, my goal as an anime voice actor is to always deliver a performance that the fans are going to enjoy. Like that the fans are going to say, this is comparable to the sub, because that's what we're going against, right? Is like the dubs versus subs debate. It's like, can I do as well of a job and maintain what we love about this performance? So I watch it as a fan, and I'm enjoying what's going on, and I'll throw in my little ideas of things that I think will make this moment a little funnier, or will maintain it. Or sometimes it's like, they make a noise that we wouldn't make in Western culture, so it's a little bit odd.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to match that. But yeah, I'm always going from the source material, because that's the thing that people enjoy. I don't have an ego about the process. I know that people aren't here for my voice. People are here for the project and the thing that they really love. So my job is to be one facet of that, and my one job not screw up, which is do a great work of this character in my interpretation of it. Obviously, it's not going to be exactly the same across language and all of this stuff, but I that's what, in my opinion, makes it so important for me to be as close to it as possible, because if people like this show and love this show, there's got to be a reason for it. My job is to try to mesh into whatever is going on. So
Right.
I'm more character actory in that way. Some people are probably more, will have a different outlook on it. But yeah, even the attempt to do it is dependent on the client, is dependent on the
Right.
director, is dependent on so many other ladders that are way above me. So if the voice does vary greatly, typically it's on purpose and it's for a specific reason. Sometimes it's just like, it's tough to find the exact voice that will match this very like Eastern culture thing,
Right.
So it's like we're doing our best job. But yeah, there's all kinds of reasons why it deviates or whatever. But for me personally, I'm always trying to service the source material first and foremost, and then finding little ways to make it my own if I can.
Yeah.
What advice would you give an aspiring voice actor with no experience and little resources?
Without a lot of resources, what I would do if in this scenario, am I like an adult? Am I like an 18, 19-year-old?
Yes.
Like, okay, cool. What I would do is, number one, I would go try out for some local theater, or see if there's any improv groups looking for people to, come in and do tryouts for. All of this stuff. I would get into acting. I would use resources, listen to actors, and I would, try to become an adequate actor. Try to become, get some skills in the acting space or improv space, or both if you can. Like, there's tons and tons and tons of people that I'm sure absolutely, acting coaches, improv teachers, that type of stuff, that if you are willing to do stuff for them, they'll be willing to trade classes in exchange for it. And it's not necessarily even like, oh, you need to like graduate the process, but I do think you need to have a little bit of that experience to do it. And then what I would do is I would save up money and start taking online classes with people that are working in the industry, vet the teachers, make sure that they are, they're knowledgeable, they're working right now currently, and they know what they're talking about, because then that will then give you more ideas into the specific medium that because now you have the acting experience, now you have some of the improv experience. Now you will start to understand, oh, okay, here are the things that I know how to do, but now I got to do them in sort of this way. And I'm sort of, figuring out how to mesh this in my own way to do voice acting, as opposed to like theater, which is different from film, right? Each medium has its own set of things, but at the heart of it all is you're a performer and you know how to, get these emotions out of yourself. Yeah. I think it's tough if you jump straight into voice acting classes without any kind of acting experience at all, because you're going to be going up against people who are actual actors and come from those backgrounds, so you want to be competitive. the voice acting classes will also cost money. So, you know, if you can look around your room and you're like, oh man, there's stuff I can sell, right? For like a class, I think that that's totally worth it. Cause it's like, is that thing bringing you as much joy as the joy of chasing your dream? I would say most of the time the answer is no. So it's like, but I don't think enough people audit in that way. And they think, well, I don't have any money, so I can't do it. But it's like, is there something you could sell? Is there, you know, can you build up money? Can you save money in a way that will allow you to do it? What I did was save up money for a long period of years doing voice acting for commercials and e-learning and all of this other stuff, the corporate side that's less interesting. But I didn't spend that much money in my 20s and saved that money, and that was the money that funded all of the classes that I would then go on to take that allowed me to have the career that I'm having now and sort of blowing up in the last, 4 or so years. So it will take resources, but there are opportunities that you might not be looking at. Can you take on like a second job that will allow you the time to build up some extra money to go take classes? Like, I think it's all about like, what can you do with what you have? And it's a difficult question because everybody's got a different set of rules and responsibilities and circumstances. But that's my ultimate advice is go take acting and improv classes as cheaply as you can, even if you have to, work the concession stand just to get into a class or whatever.
Yeah.
And those kinds of classes are offered everywhere. And, look at YouTube, like watch YouTube stuff. Like there's so much free information out there in a way that it never was when I was growing up, so utilize what you have.
Do you think that fan dubbing, like making your own fan dubs, is dangerous at all? Like could ever come back to bite somebody in the ass?
Could.
Yeah.
Could.
Yeah.
If anybody's paying attention, if you get really high profile, it could.
Because I just feel like there was a time on YouTube, especially where a lot of aspiring voice actors were doing that and getting jobs. And then I think there became a point where it started to become something that was frowned upon.
Yeah. I think that when you're just doing a dub over the same thing and you're just doing the same words or whatever, and you're just trying to get practice, I think that's different from like, let me use this as a way to create a new source of entertainment with different words. And now people are confusing the real stuff from like what your stuff became, So I think that when you change it that much, people are going to get mad because it's like, well, I spent so long creating this vision that I had and now you're just sort of making fun of it. I think that that's a little different and I kind of get that. So yeah, but at the end of the day, I mean, I did that as a way to practice, and I just wanted to practice stupidly with the least amount of effort. So,
because I do feel like a lot of the time it comes from a place of innocence, or it comes from a place of being a fan. There are people though who are probably, not very morally, right with how they approach it. But I think some people are just like,
yeah. And for me, it's not even the morality thing. It's like if you're making a ton of money off of it. At a certain point, you become a content creator who's just like creating like all of those Yu-Gi-Oh, like the Kuribo guy who did all those dubs. Like, was it funny back in the 2007s and whatever? Yeah, it was great. And I thought that he was genius. But then when you start making like money off of it and it's not your property, and I think that these companies are full in their right to, snatch it back and be like, yo, we're not seeing any of this money, but you're literally using our property to up your, you know what I mean? Like that more so to me is like when it becomes an issue. I think that if you're just doing it for the love of the game, you're trying to get some practice, you're trying to do whatever. I don't know how much it's going to help you other than just getting some practice dubbing. I don't think that you're going to blow up because of the fan dubs, but be cautious. I did a long string of like improvised like parodies off of animes just because I was trying to visualize what it would be like to be these characters and do them, and it was practice for me.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, maybe I should take those all off the internet. Like
right.
I don't think it's great to keep those around.
Wipe clean.
Yeah, and I didn't have that perspective before. So now that I do, it's like, so I can't even blame anybody who is doing that. What I'm mostly saying is do as I say, not as I did. Because
Right.
now I'm smart enough to see like, oh, that maybe was not my best avenue.
Brent, would you ever dub a hentai?
Probably not. I mean,
What if it paid good? Real good.
nah, it wouldn't. Well, how much good? No. Everybody's got a price.
That's true.
Anybody's got a
Oh,
price.
man.
And anybody who tells you otherwise, no. There's a price.
Well, you would just do it, but ask to not use your name. Like,
Stage
You would
name.
have a stage name.
I
for
mean,
that
my
project.
voice is pretty
That's true. Distinct.
recognizable
Yeah.
across a lot of things. If there was, it depends on what you describe as a hentai, number one. Number two, I would say it depends on if I thought that there was artistic merit to it.
Okay.
And there was like, okay, well, this is actually like something special that is a blah, blah, blah. You know, like I
Yeah.
think that there's contexts in which I would do it. But most of those contexts are like 1% of 1% of 1%
Yes.
chance that it even exists and would happen in that way. So mostly no. But I mean, if the
I
right
respect
project came along and it was like, we're trying something very, very, sure, there is like some sex stuff involved, but it's very tastefully done, and we're trying to make it more like an art house piece, or you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and then is
Yeah.
it even a hentai at that point? I don't
Right.
know if that would still be considered a hentai.
I just wanted to see where your line was.
If it was, yeah, or if it was like, oh, we're making like a parody of this thing, and you're gonna, you don't see it. I've done games like that
Uh-huh.
where there is that, but it's not like,
And you've been in that session. You've had to like,
yeah,
whether
yeah.
it was a kissing scene or some sort
Yeah.
of sexual scene.
But you don't see it in the game. It's not like
Oh.
it's not like gratuitously we have like a camera up the skirt. You know what I mean? Like,
I get. what you're
Yes.
saying.
so
Yeah.
it's like at least to my knowledge, all that stuff happens in like the dark or whatever, and you can't
Right.
see whatever. So it's like, okay, it's silly, it's stupid, it's a game.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you
where-
feel like, silly when you do it, or like it's just your job, or is there still a part of you?
Oh, it's very funny, actually. I mean, I'm saying stuff that I'm like laughing afterwards about because
Right.
it's like, this is just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a podcast. There was like a podcast thing, or like, no, it was like this series of short stories written by women for women pleasure stuff. And
Shit.
I just got like a good voice like that. You know what I mean? Like I can do that type of stuff. So like I played very sensitive souled men that were like, so I just want to be as vulnerable as possible with you. Like that type of stuff
Right.
where there is some I'm kissing my arm a little bit, but I think because it was to me, and the project, I asked myself, do I care about this? But for me, it's always a question of like, what is this? And I was like, it's written by women for women. I kind of like this. It's not just like gratuitous grunts.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yes.
It's more about the pageantry of it all. So I was comfortable doing that type of stuff. But I for anything that's on the line like that, I always ask myself the question like, where is my line? And I'm constantly reevaluating that and not just saying yes to everything. So
Let's get to some audience questions, and then we got to get to our game. All right, so these are questions from the audience. These specific questions come from our Discord, and then there's a couple that come from YouTube. Tiberius asks, Brent, do you ever talk to yourself as the characters that you've previously voiced? And Spicy Kimchi has a follow-up to that question. Do they ever talk back? That was Paladin
Tiberius.
and Spicy Kimchi. Sorry, go ahead.
Tiberius spicy kimchi. No, I don't do that. That would be so fun. I do experiment with new voices in my car or alone. So I'll just be being wild and doing crazy, stupid stuff. And sometimes it devolves into me just figuring out, oh, that's just that voice. But, and I do spend a lot of time by myself, just talking to myself as I'm trying to get through the day, because it's like tough socially to sit in a booth and be doing auditions for that long. But yeah, I'm not ever like, I'm mustache man from that episode of Marshall. I'm never really doing that. No.
This one comes from Vermilion Wing. Top 3 characters that you have voiced that you would like to go on a road trip with.
Dorsha, Ranking of Kings. He'd bring snacks. He's a respectful guy. The chef from Marshall, I guess. I played because he has a bakery. He has goods. I think I'm just hungry right now. Let's see. And then and Scratchmen Apoo, because he's gonna provide some good music.
This is Ty 8873. What were some challenging or surprising aspects about voice acting that you didn't expect when you first started?
What's up, Ty? Good question. I didn't realize how tough it would be to be auditioning for things that could change my life. That's probably one of the toughest things. It's like, how do you get out of your head? How do you stay in the game? How do you like not make too much of a big deal out of it? Getting replaced was an interesting one, but I don't really like getting replaced on shows or whatever. Like that stings for a little bit, but it never really hits me because I know that there's so many other things and I've already made good relationships if I've been in there. And none of them were ever like, oh, they didn't like what you did, so they're replacing you. It was like they got a celebrity or like they did blah blah blah. So it's like, okay, it is what it is on that end of it. But yeah, the biggest hurdle is sitting down to record something that I know that if I booked, it would change the course of my entire life. That's where it gets the hardest.
Yeah, I guess I don't mean to put you on the spot, but recently we were covering a couple of stories that I think it would just be interesting to get your perspective on. Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War arc had come back for a long time, having been gone. And the original VA for Chad,
I know where you're going.
Yeah, he stepped down.
Of course.
But that was on him. And I think that was a really great move, right? To respect and allow for somebody else to come in that is a person of color and represent this character. But when things like that happen, as the times have changed, like, how do you navigate that? How do you feel about that? And what's the like sentiment, I guess? I mean, you can't speak for everybody, but like, what's the general sentiment when something like that does happen? Do you feel like there's a pressure, I guess, not you, but a pressure that from the audience to like step down in a certain situation if you're not the same ethnicity as a certain character?
It's tricky in anime, especially because it's like, that character's name is Ryosuke Taniguchi,
right?
Played by John Whitington. And it's like, well, if we do that with one person, shouldn't we do that with all of them? Because these all are technically Japanese people. But like, it comes down to where your line is. I think that's it. I think that for that guy, like, he felt a certain way. I think a lot of people feel pressured into doing it now because of the climate, but it's like I don't know. I try to take it on a case by case basis. If he hadn't stepped down, like, I don't know, I would have understood. It's like nobody who was not Japanese stepped down from this show that's about Japanese people in Japan. So it's like, what's then the... And I think each situation and every person has their, idea. I don't think that, me personally, I don't think that as a Bleach fan, I would have been like super upset if he'd stayed on. But I understand that some people might. I just usually I ask the question, is this cultural thing like of importance to the story? Is it really like super, super crucial to like the character,
right? And
all of that we want somebody of a cultural thing to, somebody of the right culture, somebody of the right ethnicity to step in and do.
Yeah.
I think that for a lot of anime, it's like, well, not really, because it's like, it's not like all anime characters are, voiced by Japanese people, but to that same thing, it's like, but not everybody who, not every single anime is that culturally relevant. And most of the time it's not, especially with all these isekais where it's like, we're getting transported to a different world anyway. Like, it's not, if there was a show that was like, this show is dedicated in anime specifically to the the bobsled team of 1980, the Cool
Right.
Runnings bobsled
Yeah,
team,
yeah.
I'd be like, that is extraordinarily culturally relevant to all of this. There's no wiggle room at all. But like, if it's like, this guy got transported to a new world, and now these people in that world of this fantasy world, and one of them happens to look maybe Hispanic, right? It's like, am I going to be up in arms about that when this guy's from a different world and he just sort of has a look about him, and it's not like his name is Inigo Montoya or so, you know what I mean? It's not like, then it gets a little grayer to me, and I'm like, I don't, maybe I don't care as much, but I think there is something definitely to be said about casting authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's a line, and everybody has a different viewpoint of where that line is.
Yeah.
So for that guy, good on him. If he felt a need to step down for whatever reason, I certainly hope he didn't feel pressured into it.
That's what I hope. I hope he did it because he genuinely, sincerely wanted to do it.
Yeah,
and I'm sure he did.
Everybody has their line, and I try to juggle in my brain, empathy for each of the people. I understand people who would have been upset if he didn't, but I also understand people who, wouldn't have been as upset if he hadn't, so
I think that's why, to me, Chad is the perfect example of that.
Yes.
Again, like, I think that actor, again, if he made that choice for himself and not felt pressured, I respect his choice 100%, because Chad is a half Japanese, half Mexican character. And being half Mexican is a huge part of like where he draws his power from. There's even a line, I think, in the manga where he's like, I'm something about him drawing it from his skin, or he mentions his skin. The color
I
of
don't
his
even
skin.
remember that.
And so I think that's why that person made that choice. That actor made that choice.
Yeah, and there is a lot of like, Huecamundo, like all of that has like connotations, right?
Right.
Of,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So I do get that on that point too. So,
But it's
I
just
don't
the
know.
audience that I think like inserts themselves sometimes into those situations that I think, like you said, it's up to each and every individual performer's like own moral compass, their own line.
Yes. It shouldn't be up to the audience to say, hey, this person doesn't deserve this role.
Yeah, I think that sometimes it is out of their hands too, where it's like, no, this is a show. This is like a very prominently featured, this kind of, whatever culture, ethnicity we might be talking about. I think that at that point, no, let somebody from that culture, let somebody from that ethnicity, like, let that happen. But but I think that if you go trying to split hairs on every single thing, then it's like, well, where do we draw the line? Then?
Right.
If everyone's going to be up in arms about everything,
Yeah.
Well, that's why I like your answer, because what to me you essentially said is like, if that is a big part of that character and who that character is, like within the story, then maybe let somebody else do it. But if they're just a person in this story and they're not being defined by this thing, or their thing, isn't all of who they are, which in some cases, like it is a big part of who they are, that character is. But if it's not, then it's like, you and I think most people feel okay, voicing that character, and it is case by case at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly case by case. Some people are going to disagree with that and be like, no, it's never. But then it's like, don't you voice a character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, then where is the line for you then?
Yeah.
If you're up in arms about, I don't know. Anime is a special thing, and it's like, as somebody who is actually authentically Japanese, it's like, it's interesting to see this debate, but then also I'm sitting here like, but their name is very Japanese and they're speaking Japanese.
Well, that's why, again, I think asking someone like you this question is, I am more interested in your insight because of those things.
I try to be as open and as empathetic as possible to all the different parties involved in any type of thing. I think that there's certain contexts that blur the line. I think that there's certain times where the line is very clear in the sand, but I also respect the fact that not everybody will have that opinion.
This is from, I hope I say this person's name right, Jara Costa 3804. What are some roles you wish you could have gotten? Auditioned for his favorite show / character or a series that was before you started working.
Oh, something I would have loved to have done?
Yeah.
Oh, Hisoka. I could have done that.
That would have been sick.
I think I could have done that. I would have loved to be in the world of Hunter x Hunter. I'm hoping that it gets another season.
Me too.
I love Naruto. I'm trying to think of like who I could have been in Naruto. I could have been like
Jiraiya.
Jiraiya would have been a good one.
Killer Bee, maybe?
Yeah, I love that
yeah.
rap kind of vibe that
Yeah.
Killer Bee has. And I would have loved to play Wapple in the that would have been a fun role to play. Had I been around at that time period.
Yeah.
Frankie or
Oh, yeah.
Frankie would be a good one. I love so many animes. I could list off like so many.
Now it is time for our game, a challenge, if you will.
Challenge.
The game is guess that character from their voice alone, and there is a prize, and the prize is a trophy
I love this.
that says the best VA of all time.
I love it. All right.
How it's going to work is I'm going to play the sound first. If neither of you can get it, I have images with multiple choice pulled up. So 3 characters,
My God.
A, B, and C. And if neither one of you can get it on voice alone, then I'll pull up that image to aid you as a handicap.
Everything.
You guys ready?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm ready.
This is well thought out. Well done.
Here is the first voice.
You were exceptional. That was quite the show. Well done.
I have no idea.
You want to hear it one
Play
more
it
time?
one more time.
You were exceptional. That was quite the show. Well done.
Is that Faye Valentine?
This is why this is a little bit challenging. I tried to pick lines that, through context clues, wouldn't help you
Sure.
figure out who the character is.
Yeah. Multiple choice.
Who is it? Really so fast. You have to answer.
Sure.
That was B.
That is incorrect.
Oh my God.
Oh, I think I know who it is.
Then hit the button. Who is
C.
it? Yes.
Oh!
Who is that?
Freerin.
Oh, see, I haven't watched it.
I know.
That's
You
the
said you
thing.
haven't watched it. All right. Here's the second one.
Hey, little boy. How about we just end all this and call it a draw, okay?
Ooh, it's powerful. I love the rasp in the end there. Okay,
God.
can you play it one more time?
Hey, little boy. How about we just end all this and call it a draw, okay?
It's like a friend of mine, actually. I can't place it.
All right. Here is the multiple choice to choose from. That was pretty equal. Let's give it to Brent since Megan's in the lead.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Mob Psycho.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, which,
Dimple.
by the way, I forgot to say, I have it written down too. Freerin is voiced by Mallory Rodak. I hope I'm saying that right. And this is Dimple, voiced by Michael Sorich.
Yeah, Michael Soerich. Not the guy I was thinking of, but that's exactly him.
It's tied 1-1.
I have a friend who's good with disguises. Bit by bit.
Ahsoka.
Fate seems
Yeah. When you said Ahsoka earlier, I was like, he's going to get this one.
Yeah.
Whether you want world peace or fluffy towels, it's Intergalactic Maid Cup at your service.
Intergalactic makeup.
Maid Cop.
Maid cop. That's even crazier. Maid cop?
Whether you want world peace or fluffy towels, it's Intergalactic Maid Cup at your service.
And these are all anime? Oh, God.
We're so bad at this.
I have the multiple choice.
gosh.
Yeah, do
Ready.
the multiple choice.
Okay.
Ryuka. What's her name? A?
A is correct.
Wow. Rukia.
Rukia? I need to get on the new season of Bleach. It's been so
You
long.
have to.
I haven't watched since the last episode of Before the 1,000-Year Blood War.
Dude,
so.
it's incredible.
I started reading the manga a little
Yeah.
bit, and then I put it down and was like, I'll just wait till they animate this. There's no way they will.
Normally, it doesn't really matter all that much, but
Yeah.
the anime has elevated the source material because Kubo has added stuff to the anime that doesn't exist in the manga.
Yeah, because I heard that he was rushing through
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the manga, so
Yep.
what a cool opportunity.
Brent is in the lead. It's 3-1. We have one more, and then we have a special bonus one that's only for Brent. This is the last one, so Megan, there's
Okay.
no chance of winning. You've already
I
lost.
know. I've already lost. I'll just sit here.
No. You have to try to guess. Here's the final voice.
You show great skill. Why create such chaos? I'm afraid I can't let you get away with this.
Dio?
Oh, that was a good guess.
That was a good guess.
That was a really good guess.
Let's
Might be.
Is it from JoJo?
No.
Oh.
Damn it. I
Megan
should have
doesn't
said that.
know.
I don't know.
I shouldn't have said that, but go ahead. You guys want to see the multiple choice?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Because one of the pictures is JoJo's related.
yeah.
God, it's A, right?
Wrong.
God, I would have guessed what I thought I was gonna say,
Oh.
and I was. Oh man,
It is B.
B. It's
Endeavor.
Endeavor.
I haven't watched 2 of the last seasons that came out, so I was like, I don't remember him saying
Yeah.
that, but that is Patrick.
Right. Yes. And I
Oh,
keep forgetting to shout out the voice actors. Isuka's Keith Silverstein, Rukia Michelle Ruff, Endeavor Patrick
Seitz,
Yeah.
who also plays DL.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. But you did win. You are the winner. So you do get this trophy.
Wow.
You are. No
Wow.
matter what anybody ever says
Yeah.
in the industry, you are known as the best VA of all time. But there you go. Now, if anybody has anything to say otherwise, you can show them that trophy.
Yeah.
Maybe take it with you. Maybe to help, get you some more gigs, some more jobs. I don't know.
Yeah. Save it to the top of my Tesla. That'll.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There is, however, one more bonus voice just for you.
Okay.
And I'll explain it after you hear it.
Okay.
But try to guess this character from their voice alone.
A deadly disease transmitted by touch? I've never heard of it. Sick.
That's Sanji from One Piece. 4 Kids.
That's so funny.
It sounds a lot like what you described earlier.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't know that I've heard that.
Ooh.
Sounds like something from Cells at Work or something from the context
Okay.
clues.
Interesting that you said you never heard anything like that before, because that was actually me. That was my
Wow.
fan dubbing debut. I had this graphic pulled up to accompany it so
yeah.
it could help you guess. But that was me attempting to voice B. Andy from Undead Unluck. This was before, by the way, the dub with Ben
Balmaceda.
ever
Shout out
came
to
out.
Ben. We got to hang now that you're here, bro.
Yeah, dude. This was before, way before his version. I am no professional. The real performance sounds like this.
A deadly disease transmitted by touch, huh? Never heard of such a thing. Wicked sick!
So that's what a professional sounds like versus
Yeah.
an amateur. But I wanted to throw my hat in the ring. I wanted to throw you for a loop. I wanted to
I
get
heard
your
your
reaction.
Sanji influence. It was really
Yeah,
good.
it
Crazy.
was heavy.
What I really wanted to do was see how
Heavy.
it would fall on your ears, how you would react to it. Maybe
Yeah.
you would be able to sniff out that it wasn't a professional voice actor, maybe not, but you responded in a very interesting way.
You know what? The style was very much so 2007's
Yes.
anime. It was
Yes, that was my
it
inspiration.
It was definitely like it was an era. You had
Yeah.
you had a
Yes.
specific choice of an era.
That was for a video that me and Megan did. We wanted to do it before the official dub was made,
Yeah.
and we kind of wanted to just see what it felt like to go through that process.
And how challenging.
And how
it would be.
challenging
I was
it
like
would
the
be.
grunting in the background.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good grunting.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. No, she's way better.
That's
than
good
I am.
anime grunt.
yeah.
No, that was good, man.
No, that was good. You
don't
you do any voice though, you do put that New York twang on
I
it.
do.
I'm not sure why. It's like any impression that you do.
It's the Joey Wheeler. It's
Yeah,
the Sanji.
you
We've heard
just-
too much of it, dude.
Well, that's it. That's it for this episode. Thank you,
Oh, so
Brent.
much fun.
You
Yeah.
won the challenge. You answered some tough questions. And most of all, thank you, dude, for
Thank
taking the time
you.
out of your schedule to be here to come down and hang out with us.
Nah, thanks for having me. This was
Yeah.
a blast.
Talk to the people. Let them know where they can either follow you or check out what you're doing on top of all the, incredible voices that you perform.
Come to YouTube. Come to YouTube. Come check out my channel. It's called Brent Mukai. I'm trying to do the YouTube thing. I'm trying to be you guys. I'm trying to do some stuff in the space. I want to be creative. As an actor, you sometimes are flying by the seat of your pants, and I've been very blessed and very lucky to be as busy as I have been. But at the same time, like, there is the creative part of my soul that wants to shoot the shit, just be fun, have some fun, and create something of my own as opposed to just being a part of other people's creations. So yeah, YouTube is where it's happening. Brent Mukai, BrentMukai, across all social media. If you want to interact with me, Twitter's probably where I'm most active. Instagram, I'm on a little bit, and don't find me on LinkedIn. I still have hair on my profile picture.
I gotta pull that up.
Embarrassing. I would love any spare attention you're willing to give me.
And all of that stuff will definitely be linked in the description below.
No, don't do that. Make them work for it.
It'll be linked up top.
They better
and
listen.
below. It'll be linked
It'll
everywhere.
be in the tiniest font you can find anywhere on the internet.
Buried within the description.
You have to highlight it.
Yeah,
That's when it actually comes up as text. It's invisible to the naked eye.
Only Matt Pat will be able to crack the code to finding it. You know, now that he's retired, he'll have all that spare time.
Yeah.
But that's just a theory.
Oh, hell yeah. Now we're talking about language.
Oh, are you a game theory fan?
I love
You're a game theory head? Hey. Come on.
I say that shit all the time on the podcast. He gets so mad at me.
I don't get
it was
mad.
a theory.
I don't do that.
Okay, that's what
The only thing left to do now is to get out of here on our outro. We do this at the end of every episode.
Okay.
Our outro that's always the same and never changes. And what that is something that changes every episode.
Yes,
and is
that's the
something
part.
is something from the show, a funny phrase, a funny saying, a funny word that we can all kind of go out on in unison. That is like within the theme of our discussion. Anything we mention, an answer to any question, anything that pops to mind.
Like our parents are divorced.
Yes.
Like that?
I like that.
And that's true for all of us.
Is it true for all of
Yeah.
us?
Yeah.
Oh man. Hey. Yeah. The unity of
1, 2, 3,
divorcees.
divorce.
Divorce.
Do that actually.
We're doing that?
Yes.
that okay?
Yeah, that's-
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'll only cry a little bit.
I got all my
But all the way back in the car.
Yeah, but all the way
ride
back
home.
in the car ride. I'm going to call my parents.
Yeah,
No.
that's funny. All right.
Okay.
Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for listening, for hanging out. Thank you, Brent, again for being here. And until next time.
Divorce!
So we did it.
Yeah!
That's basically how my parents broke to me that they were getting divorced. They put their fists together, they said divorce, and they turned to me and clapped.